We are jumping straight into a genre that has, well, it's pretty much shaped the entire modern musical landscape. I mean, frankly, it dominates just about every streaming playlist you could possibly make. We're talking about pop rock crossover.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
It's not quite pop, not quite rock. It's this perfect fusion.
Exactly. It takes the absolute catchiest parts of pop, the melodies you just can't get out of your head, and combines them with the genuine power and the volume of rock instruments.
It's the ultimate musical balancing act. And to really get it, you have to look back to when it started, right around the middle of the 20th century.
Right.
The big innovation wasn't just the invention of the electric guitar itself. It was the moment people realized this powerful instrument could deliver simple, memorable tunes, not just complex solos.
So it wasn't about sounding radical or complicated. It was about sounding inviting.
Precisely. It was the strategic blend that made rock music much more accessible to a mainstream audience. You can almost call it a Trojan horse. You get the energy of the guitars and the driving rhythm, but it's all wrapped around a tune that anyone can sing along to almost instantly.
And the industry saw that and realized this is a blueprint.
It completely changed how music was made and marketed from then on.
Okay, let's unpack the sound. If you're building a pop rock track, what are the essential ingredients? What's in the toolkit?
The foundation is non-negotiable. It's classic rock instrumentation. You have to have an electric guitar.
Of course.
But specifically, the tone needs to be a little fatter, a bit warmer. That's often done using something called humbucking pickups.
Which basically do what?
They cut out some of that harsh, thin, buzzy noise you might hear in other rock styles. Just smooths everything out. And that's backed by a really solid, simple bass line and a drum kit providing a super strong, steady pulse.
Right, so it's distorted enough to feel like rock, but smooth enough that it doesn't scare off a pop listener. But they started layering in more technology over time. How do you add things like synthesizers and not lose that rock feel?
That's where the production genius really comes in. Keyboards and synth are added to provide what we call sonic glue.
Sonic glue.
Yeah, they add texture, they fill in the higher frequencies, and they make the whole sound much denser and more professional. But what's really crucial is how the vocals are treated. The singer's voice is mixed way higher and clearer than in a lot of traditional rock. The goal is to make sure you can understand every single word.
You also mentioned that dynamic play, that great technique where a song gets quiet right before it gets loud.
Yes, that's essential for the emotional impact. A lot of pop rock bands will use acoustic guitars or cleaner electric tones during the verses.
To create a softer feeling.
Exactly, a softer, almost vulnerable feeling. It creates contrast. So when that huge, distorted electric chorus finally hits,
It feels like an explosion.
it really does. It's a calculated jump in energy designed to grab your full attention.
And speaking of calculation, the song structure is almost surgically designed for maximum stickiness.
Oh, completely.
We all know the standard layout. Verse, chorus, bridge. But why does that relentless structure matter so much in this genre?
Because the whole thing is optimized for immediate global consumption. We're not just talking about an intro setting the mood.
Right.
In pop rock, the chorus is everything. It has to come in quickly. It has to be repeated often, and it's placed so the listener can learn it and sing along as fast as possible.
So if the chorus is the main event, what's the bridge doing in all of this strategically?
The bridge is like a psychological palate cleanser. Usually comes after the second chorus, and it offers this brief, intense shift.
Like a key change or a breakdown in the rhythm.
Yep. It momentarily releases the tension built up by repeating the choruses.
Mm.
And that pause makes the final return of that massive climactic chorus feel even more fresh and powerful.
It's basically a reset button.
A reset button that guarantees the song ends on its highest possible energy point.
And that familiar, predictable layout is exactly why these songs just dominate global charts.
It invites instant participation. You don't even need to know the language perfectly. You know exactly when that big cathartic moment is coming.
Okay, let's pivot from the sound to the message. The lyrics are a huge part of this, and they're very specifically aimed at teenagers and young adults. What are these songs about?
The content really revolves around these universal, relatable experiences. So you hear themes of friendship, the challenges of growing up, daily life at school or at home.
And the emotional stuff, too.
Oh, that's the real currency of the genre. Falling in love, feeling lonely, being misunderstood, all of that.
And the pop influence means it's usually filtered through a more optimistic lens, right? Rock might complain, but pop rock tends to encourage.
That is the key difference. Even when the subjects are tough, The language is kept really simple and direct. It's like emotional shorthand. The tone stays generally bright. The lyrics aren't trying to be super poetic or complex.
They're just designed for a clear, immediate connection.
Exactly. The message is always, you're not alone in feeling this.
So if the goal is that kind of clarity and structural perfection, we have to talk about the person who guarantees it all happens, the music producer,
The producer is the track architect. 100%.
the director of the track.
Right. The band brings the raw materials, but the producer decides on the final shape. They're in the studio, choosing the best takes, making all the critical technical decisions.
Can you give us an example of a specific technical decision a producer makes that really defines this sound?
Sure. One of the biggest ones is compression, especially on the drums and vocals. Compression makes the quiet parts of a track louder and the loud parts a bit quieter. So the whole song just sounds much louder overall, which is vital for radio play.
And what about that classic 80s drum sound you still hear?
That's often something called gated reverb. It's that huge, echoing drum sound that just cuts off abruptly. It gives the drums a massive impact without making the track sound all muddy.
So they're using these tools to perfect the sound, to make sure the rock energy is there, but all the messiness is kind of surgically removed?
That's it. The producer's mission is to make sure the track sounds professional and catchy. They often push bands to simplify melodies or adjust rhythms to make a song more memorable.
So the difference between a demo and a global hit could really just be the producer.
It often is. Their vision is everything.
Let's talk about how this sound actually reached people, historically. For decades, it was all about radio stations and, of course, television.
Television and the rise of the music video specifically. That was a game changer.
The moment it became visual.
Yes. Artists were suddenly elevated to this new level of celebrity. Fans weren't just listening to the music, they were consuming the band's entire look, their fashion, their attitude, everything.
And that visual style had to align perfectly with the sound, right? That blend of rock and pop.
It's all about calculated ambiguity. Pop rock stars are visually recognizable. They'll mix casual clothes like jeans and a t-shirt with something flashy.
Like a leather jacket or expensive sneakers.
Exactly. The look is edgy, like rock, which gives that sense of rebellion, but it's also trendy, like pop, which makes them perfect for magazine covers and social media. It's safe rebellion.
And the ultimate expression of that brand is the live show.
The concert experience is pure, high-octane energy. The musicians are jumping around, interacting with the crowd. It's where that studio perfection meets this raw, untamed enthusiasm.
But the last decade or so has just completely flipped the script. We went from radio gatekeepers to global streaming.
Streaming changed everything, especially discovery. You can now discover a band from Korea or Norway as easily as a band from your own hometown.
And production has changed, too.
Oh, massively. Artists can now record professional-sounding songs in small home studios with pretty affordable software.
Huh?
The barrier to entry is so much lower.
So does that mean the producer and the record label are less important now?
I'd say they're working differently. The gatekeepers have shifted from, say, record store managers to streaming algorithms. And a professional producer is arguably more important because they have to make a track stand out among millions of others being uploaded.
And that accessibility is what fuels the global reach.
For sure. It makes it easier for international bands to get famous, and they often choose to sing in English to reach the biggest market.
And this pop rock DNA, it doesn't just stay in its own lane, it bleeds into other genres.
All the time. You hear its influence in the tight structures of modern country music, the use of live instruments in some hip-hop, even the compressed beats in electronic dance music.
But no genre that gets this big is without its critics. Let's tackle that debate. The biggest argument is that by focusing on poppy catchiness, you strip out the grit and honesty of real rock.
That's the core tension right there. Critics will argue that the need for every song to be a radio hit leads to a kind of manufactured authenticity.
That the songs become repetitive or emotionally shallow.
Right. And they'll accuse artists of selling out to get that commercial success.
Okay, so what's the defense? What's the counter-argument to the idea that this music is just a disposable product?
The counter view is that writing a perfect, universally catchy pop melody is an incredibly difficult skill. It's not easy.
It takes real talent.
It takes genuine musical talent to boil down raw rock power into a perfect 3-minute, high-energy package. These artists are always walking this fine line between their own creativity and what the market wants. And when it works, you get music that's not just heard, but is deeply felt and remembered by millions of people. That should be seen as a real artistic achievement.
So looking ahead, where does pop rock crossover go from here? The genre never really stays still.
I think we can expect the blending to just keep accelerating. You'll see more combinations of classic rock instruments with complex electronic beats and
And
sampling.
technology will play a huge role.
It has to. Whether it's something like artificial intelligence suggesting song structures or virtual reality creating totally new concert experiences, the goal is always the same: deliver high energy through a killer, repeatable hook.
So it seems as long as people want music that lets them feel rebellious and uplifted at the same time, this genre will just keep finding new ways to adapt.
Precisely. Pop rock crossover is an enduring style because it masters that perfect balance. It's powerful energy combined with simple, universal melodies that connect directly with people's lives.
So the next time you have a song stuck in your head, try to listen closely. See if you can spot that exact moment the band shifts from, say, an acoustic verse to that stadium-sized electric chorus. You might find it's a much more calculated experience than you realized. See you next time.